everyone, welcome back. You're listening to the second episode of the Table Talks podcast. I'm Claudia Romero.
I'm Lucas Giordano.
And I'm Lucas Damiani.
Before we get into today's quickfire segment, we asked you guys to place your votes on last week's polls, which were found on EmergeTO on Instagram. So for our first question, we asked you guys, will Team Canada qualify for the 2022 FIFA World Cup? And 57% said yes, and 43% said no. A little bit shocking. I honestly didn't expect everyone to kind of think that Canada was going to qualify for the 2022 World Cup, but interesting. And we have, who is the better player right now in the NHL, Connor McDavid or Austin Matthews? And the results were 56% said Connor McDavid and 44% said Austin Matthews. So there we have it. The people have spoken. So let's get on to our quickfire segment. Now back onto our quickfire segment. This is where we're bringing you our top sports news from the past week. So let's start off with some unfortunate news. Wayne Gretzky's father passing. Now, Walter Gretzky, everybody knows, he died at the age of 82. He was kind of the reason why Wayne Gretzky, loved hockey and found that love for hockey.
Yeah, so Walter Gretzky was kind of the father of hockey in Canada. It feels like everyone kind of knew him, or maybe a lot of people met him. I know I met him at a hockey tournament one time, and it's a sad day. He meant a lot to hockey, especially around like the GTA and close to where his son grew up, where he still lived until the day he died. And it's a sad day. I feel for Wayne. It's a huge loss for the hockey community.
Yeah, you can definitely see that. A lot of people talking about great memories they had with him. And then, like you said, him being involved with, minor hockey shows how much he loved the game. And it's a big loss, obviously, because just of the impact he had on his son, Wayne Gretzky, who is the best player of all time. Seeing someone like that go who groomed someone like him is pretty sad.
All right, NFL. After 20 seasons, Drew Brees officially announces his retirement through Instagram. Brees, who is the all-time leader in passing yards and completion, spent 15 of his 20 years in New Orleans.
Yeah, Drew Brees is one of the greatest of all time. I think we all saw it coming. He hasn't been able to really throw to the same ability that he had in earlier years. He was getting old, and not everyone can defeat Father Time like Tom Brady, but he's still going to be obviously a first ballot Hall of Famer, one of the greatest ever. And I'm excited to see what he does in the future. He announced on Instagram that he was going to stay in New Orleans, and maybe he ends up working for the organization. I don't know, but I think that'd be cool.
Yeah, he's one of like the old guard sort of that was still remaining. I feel like Tom Brady's kind of like the last one left. Obviously one of the greatest of all time. It's tough to see him go. You hate to see like players like that eventually retire, but it happens to the best of every player. It'd be cool to see him maybe like working in broadcast. I feel like that's kind of something like maybe he'd be really good at. He feels like he's really like well-spoken, has a lot of knowledge. It could be really cool to see him start working in that sort of field. But yeah, I guess we just wait and see what comes of him in the future.
We also have JJ Watt joining the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, this is weird. I didn't really think he was going to go there. I thought he might have played with one of his brothers, like I said on the first episode. But, you have to assume that DeAndre Hopkins had a lot to do with this decision. Both of them playing in Houston before. And I don't know. I think Arizona could be dangerous, but he said he wanted to win a ring and he chose there. I just don't see the logic behind it, but I wish him the best, and hopefully he can convince Deshaun to leave that organization sooner rather than later.
I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, he also earned a 2-year, $28 million contract, so there's that.
He's worth it. He's definitely worth it. He's amazing. He's been amazing every year. And I honestly think he'll help the Cardinals a lot. I just don't see it making them a Super Bowl contending team yet, especially with the top-end talent in the league, like the Chiefs, obviously. But I guess we'll see.
Now, there's been some trade rumors for Russell Wilson. Do we think this is the last of Wilson in Seattle?
I don't. I don't see them trading him. He's so good and like such an elite quarterback, and I still think he's undervalued. I don't see them trading him. I don't think it's possible. I think they should try to focus on getting him a better O-line and protecting him, considering he gets sacked like crazy. He has no protection, but I can't see them trading him. He would cost so much for another team to get him too, and as good as he is, I just don't see it happening.
I feel like you said, as good as he is, I feel like a lot of teams are definitely interested in him, and they're probably going to continue to be until the season begins, trying to find out what it would take to get him. I also don't feel like they're going to trade him. I know like there's a lot of rumors about him not being happy and maybe wanting out, going to a new team, but I don't. I also don't see it happening, but I guess we'll wait and see.
Yeah.
All right, NBA. Do we still think a Kyle Lowry trade is on the way? A couple weeks ago, there was a report that if he was to be traded, he'd prefer to be traded to the 76ers. Though there was a report recently where Lowry denied all of these trade rumors. What do you guys think? Do you think that a Lowry trade is on the way?
It's weird that like these rumors keep popping up. Like obviously he denied them and stuff, and the team's also like denying them and stuff like that. But it before I was kind of on the fence saying like I don't really see it happening, but because of the fact he keeps popping up, keeps being connected with the 76ers in Philly, which is where he's from. It just feels like it's definitely possible. Like I wasn't on like early in the first episode, I'm pretty sure we were all kind of saying like we didn't see it happening, but it keeps popping up. So I don't know. Like I can see it possibly happening, but
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really see it happening, and I know it would make sense for a team to trade a veteran player who's on a who's on a contract that's expiring in the summer, but it's different when it's Kyle Lowry in Toronto, right? It's like, not to compare him to Steph Curry, but it's like if Steph was on an expiring contract and they traded him out of Golden State. Like it's weird to do that. It's like he is the Raptors. He's the greatest Raptor of all time. So I don't think he's going to get traded because I think they're going to work something out together to figure it out. Maybe he just goes somewhere in free agency because I think they want to do what's best for him, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a report came from Michael Grange, who's a head writer for the Toronto Raptors. He said he doesn't think he's getting traded either. Lowry denied all trade rumors personally on his Instagram. So I don't know. I don't see it happening, but it's a weird league.
I was going to say too, like you said, like free agency, but then it comes down to like, if you're going to know he's going to leave in free agency, why not just trade him now, right? Like get something for him.
Yeah, but it's different because it's Lowry. You have to do right by him at this point. Like
I guess so.
You can't just like if they were going to just do that, you'd trade him to a bad team. If it was just some guy on the team on an expiring contract and your team's not doing well, you'd trade him to a bad team. But it's Lowry. You want to work out the best situation for him that also works for the team. And if that's just letting him go in free agency instead of trading him, then that's that. I mean, it's money off the books and it's money to sign someone else big in free agency. But I don't see it happening. I wouldn't even be surprised if he re-signed.
I wouldn't be surprised either, but I just feel like if he really wants to leave and, there's some discussion happening between them, maybe like, the team's telling them like, kind of do good by us, how we've done good by you over these years, obviously we want to keep you and stuff, but if you want to leave, we'd want to get something back in return, but I don't know, whatever works for both of them.
So. I'd hope not because he's been such a staple player for the Raptors. Like he really represents them. So, I mean, I'd hope he wouldn't get traded, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah.
All right, Blake Griffin, he was bought out by the Detroit Pistons. So do we think Griffin can still be an elite player? How will he help the Nets? And is this the NBA's newest super team?
I think before Blake, it was a super team, right? The Nets were already a super team. This, as much as Blake hasn't been, he's been a shell of his former self, right? He hasn't dunked since, 2019?
Yeah.
All I know is if he starts dunking, there's got to be some kind of investigation into this league. He wasn't dunking on the Pistons, who are garbage and always will be garbage. And now he's going to go to the Nets and be like LA Clippers, Blake Griffin? I don't know. But I just know they're front runners now, for sure, especially seeing the Lakers struggle without Anthony Davis.
Mm-hmm.
If he can get back to even like 50% of what he used to be, I think they're going to win for sure, the championship.
Yeah, like you said, this is definitely the super team in the NBA right now, and I don't know, just maybe being on a new team rejuvenates him and stuff. But I think he's had a rough couple, like not a rough couple of years. The team hasn't been that good around him, but I think having like a lot more talent around him will kind of alleviate the duties and stuff and the pressure on him. I think playing less minutes, playing against lower competition, he'll play against not like all the starters and stuff, right? So I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes back to like his LA Clipper form, maybe just like flashes and stuff.
Yeah.
But
I don't
yeah.
know. Well, even if he doesn't, it kind of got lost in how bad the Pistons have always been,
Hmm.
but he's developed like a really good, not a really good, but a decent 3-point shot.
Yeah.
He's been a way better playmaker, way better ball handler than he ever was in LA. It wasn't in LA. It was all dunks, and it was all from Chris Paul, right? And he's got a guy kind of like that, two guys kind of like that, in Kyrie and
Harden.
Harden. And I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, maybe not like the exact same play style, but like maybe more of an impact that he's been having with the Pistons. And, he'll be doing that with his better all around game with his shooting and passing.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Okay, on to NHL talk. Montreal Canadiens fired coach Claude Julien, and they've replaced him with assistant coach Dominique Ducharme. So, what happened to the Juggernaut Habs?
Yeah, this is I guess it was a bit surprising, but at the same time, I guess understandable. They went on a bit of a slide and decided I guess a coaching change was needed. I feel like the reasoning is I guess they feel like this is like a prime opportunity to maybe go far in the playoffs this year. I feel like they recognize that the North Division isn't exactly the strongest division, right? You got like the Ottawa Senators, you're playing like 8 or 10 times, right? Those are all easy wins and stuff like that. I feel like they recognize that this is a good opportunity and they shouldn't be letting it waste. And they weren't satisfied with the results they were getting. Um, so yeah, hopefully, I guess they hope the coaching change can reignite the team and get some points on the table. Hopefully, try and catch the Leafs. I don't see it happening, but at least make the playoffs and make a good push.
Yeah. I would stand by this decision 100% of the time. I think
Yeah.
the Habs kind of hit a ceiling, right? Like
Mhm.
this happens a lot in sports. A good example is what happened with the Raptors. You hit a ceiling with a certain coach or a certain player, or it doesn't matter what it is. And at one point, like you got to decide when are you going to move on from that. And
Mhm.
I think it was just time to move on, get a new look in there, get a fresh look in there. Uh, it definitely it'll rejuvenate your team, and it's good to see it. It puts them more into the conversation now. It's a fresh look. I don't think they're ever going to beat the Leafs, anyways. But
Yeah.
I mean, I guess we'll see.
I appreciate when teams do this, when they recognize that a team's on a slide and they go for a change. Like a lot of times you see teams don't make a change when it's necessary. Like a prime example right now is the Buffalo Sabres in the league right now. And this hits personally for me because I'm a Sabres fan. They're on a 10-game losing streak and they haven't done anything about changing it, right? I feel like when you recognize there's an issue and you're on a slide, if there's obviously we don't see the full picture because we just watch the games, but you know, if the GM sees something that isn't going right and he feels like the change needs to be made, I really like when teams do that because it shows like they're driven and they want to make a change and they're not going to accept the results they're getting right now. So I really like this.
Okay, the NHL also played games on Lake Tahoe a couple weeks ago. So, would you guys like to see more spectacle games take place in the NHL, even without fans in this stadium?
Uh, I don't think we need more spectacle games, but I really loved the Lake Tahoe one, even though there was like a little bit of issues with the ice and the melting and stuff. But it was really cool, and the scenery just made it like it was a really nice game to watch, right? And I think that's good without fans. I don't know where you'd put the fans. It would kind of ruin like the picture behind, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how nice it was. I thought
The
it was
whole
great.
ambiance.
Yeah, I thought it was
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah, a lot of times with those outdoor games, when there is fans, the angle's really like jarring. It's really like too like far out, and it kind of makes it like hard to watch and stuff. I think without fans it was a lot better, but obviously I don't think they're gonna stop fans from going to those games if possible, right, in the future. But I really liked it watching it on TV without the fans, and the scenery was really cool. I think
Yeah,
they just got to sort of figure out the weather stuff because of that huge delay where they have to like switch it to night and they were playing like really late. But if they can just figure that out, like places like that would be really cool to see more games.
Yeah, honestly, I'm not even like during the regular, well, when it's pre-COVID, I didn't like those spectacle games. Like I didn't really like even seeing like I'm a Leafs fan, even seeing the Leafs. It was like this sucks, right?
Yeah.
It feels like it's kind of fake. Like the goalies have hats over their helmets. Like
Yeah, that stuff's too much. They do
it's
that.
like too much of a spectacle, but without fans and like I don't know. I just thought it was really nice.
Yeah. It's cool if they do it in places like that when it's not just a stadium, it's on like a cool city.
Yeah.
So if they do it in more places like that, I really like that. That'd be cool.
All right, enough with the NHL talk. Let's talk about Tiger Woods and his very bad car crash. I mean, I think everybody's heard about it so far. I'm not sure if there's any new updates right now. What do you guys think?
Yeah, this is scary and sad for Tiger, right? Especially with everything he's gone through, especially his other car accidents and his history of. A lot of people thought it had to do with his history of abusing any kind of drugs, but they've ruled out that it wasn't. It was just purely an accident, and it's scary, man, because he's the greatest, right? And you don't want to see him out of the game because the game's a lot better with him in it. I hope it's not the end for him. I know he completely shattered one of his legs. But knowing the way that guy works, I don't know if there's a documentary on him. You could see how he works on HBO. It's amazing. But the way he works, I don't think it's the end for him. I think he'll try to make some kind of comeback. But I don't know.
Yeah, I'd love to see him make a comeback from this. It'd be great for golf, great for sports to see, the greatest Tiger making a comeback from something so devastating like this. I fear for the worst when I saw the news. I was praying for his health and stuff. That you hate to see that happen, but uh, he's a professional. He's the best of all time with his mentality. I can definitely see him making a comeback. I don't know if he can maybe ever win a major again after this, but I think it'd be great for everyone and great for sports in general if he, see him back on the course.
Yeah, could you imagine maybe could you imagine he came back and won the Masters again?
No, that'd be crazy. That'd be nuts.
The world would go nuts. It was crazy the first time. After this, I bet he does too. I wouldn't be surprised if he
a lot
did.
of people I know were saying he would never win a major again, and he did. So
yeah, he's the best. If anyone could figure it out, it's him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think this is the end for him, but I mean, hopefully he has a great recovery, and we'll see what happens in the near future, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, now for the segment of what's Lucas tweeting about. So as you guys know, this is where we read Lucas Damiani's tweets, and we're wondering what the heck is going on through this guy's mind, and we're going to ask him about it. All right, Lucas, you tweeted, the Celtics are straight up not a good basketball team. Why? Why did you say this?
This was probably an over-exaggeration, pre-All-Star break over-exaggeration, because Tatum was playing probably the worst basketball of his short and young NBA career. He's since bounced back a little bit, but I don't know. I was watching them and I just couldn't see any heart, any passion. They were losing games that they should have won against bad teams. Tatum was shooting like 4 for 20, which isn't usually what he does. And I think I can kind of place the blame on them not having Marcus Smart, because that guy he's a glue guy, right? And I think it kind of shined a light on you need those guys. Like he's kind of like a Kyle Lowry, Marcus Smart. He does the dirty work. He gets guys motivated. You can't just have all-stars playing just buddy ball between Tatum and Brown. But I think I'm going to double back on that and say they're not a horrible basketball team, but they definitely won't win anything.
Yeah, I think they're just a bit of a frustrating team because they go through this a lot where how good they are, and then they go through these patches where you're like, why don't we see that on a regular basis? And I think what a lot of fans and just people in general want is just more consistency. And like you said, Marcus Smart is like a big part of that. Having him in the lineup really he really gets the most out of his teammates and stuff. He really gets on people. And, if anyone's playing bad, he can kind of just come in and with his play, like you said, he's like Kyle Lowry with his play. He kind of motivates people and tries to get the best out of everyone. But yeah,
Yeah, I don't. I'm not going to expect games like that from Tatum probably ever again. Like maybe once in every 20 games, he'll throw up a stinker like that. But it was just like a couple in a row, and it just kind of highlighted that the Celtics' depth isn't what people thought it was. Like they don't really have guys on the bench who can come in and maybe besides that rookie Peyton Pritchard, who's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they really have that guy that can come off the bench either. That's like, yeah, he's in, we're okay. Like a Lou Williams type of sixth man.
Yeah.
All right. Now your next tweet. You said DeMar DeRozan not being an all-star this year is a travesty. I mean, I think a lot of people can agree on that, but
Yeah,
let's talk about it.
I stick by that tweet. I think with all the injuries and the numbers he's putting up and keeping San Antonio in a playoff spot the way that he has, he's the best player on that team easily. I mean, they have good guys, even though they just lost Aldridge. He's the glue on that team. He's the best. And it's sad that like Mike Conley got the spot over him as the final replacement. And like that's good for Mike Conley considering he's never gotten one. And it's a really good feel-good story. But I'm done with the NBA and the fans and media sleeping on DeMar. Like that guy he's always been an all-star caliber player. Every year he could have been an all-star game. I don't know. It's just sad.
Yeah, we touched on it last episode too about how he's underappreciated and stuff, and it did suck to not see him go. As a cheering for him all these years in Toronto, you want to see him succeed and stuff. I guess it just shows how much talent there is in the NBA and how hard it is to get into that game. So many guys didn't make the All-Star game. Fred VanVleet's having a great year in Toronto. He didn't get it. Trae Young, stuff like that. So it's tough to see, but it happens every year. There's always guys that don't get in and create some controversy about whether or not they should have been, and that the NBA is paying attention to like who's doing good in their league and stuff. But it's tough to see. But
it felt like there were a lot of kind of snubs this year. I guess there's a lot of people having good years, but I don't think that it should have been 3 Utah Jazz players in the West.
That's
come on. Like I know it's the best record, but come on, let's be real. The only teams that should have had 3 players, only team actually, is Brooklyn.
Mm-hmm.
And a team with worse records than like say the Raptors had no players in it before the All-Star break, and they had a better record than the Celtics at that point, who had 2, and Tatum was playing the worst basketball of his life. So yeah. I don't know. It's a weird thing. I think it's a popularity contest as opposed to actually looking at like stats and how people are playing. But
yeah, and I mean, it'd be nice to see a Canadian in the All-Star team. Like I guess if we could pick one player who should be in the All-Star games, who would you guys choose besides DeMar DeRozan?
Like a Canadian player?
Yeah.
Want to go? Who do you think?
Jamal Murray, probably, right? Like that's probably the biggest one.
I think that's a good. I think I'd go Shai Gilgeous-Alexander though.
Yeah.
Just because he's keeping his team in it, right? Like Jamal Murray has Jokic, and Jokic is second in MVP running right now.
Yeah.
But Shai is like different, man. He's doing it on his own almost. That team, they have like 1,000 first-round picks in the next 20 years because they traded all their players away. And he's showing that he's like a legitimate star in this league.
All right, the 5-minute major segment. This is where we're going to be debating on some topics, controversial or not. Let's get started. So, should the Leafs re-sign goaltender Freddie Anderson this offseason, or should they move on from him?
I don't know for sure, but I think they should re-sign him if they get the chance to. Like, why mess with a team that's working so well together? They're the best team in the league right now. Even without facing every American team. I think you just got to wait until after playoffs, see what happens. Like if they're an early exit, maybe you kind of switch things up. But as of right now, I think they should and will re-sign him.
I'm kind of leaning against it. Obviously, the big reason, first off, you got to consider is the money, right? The Leafs are hard tied to the cap right now with their big contracts, right? Also, Freddie isn't exactly having the best season. I know a lot of people are high up on Jack Campbell right now, and they think he's been pretty good for them. I'm not saying they should just go with Jack Campbell if if he doesn't resign. But I don't know. I think any exit, honestly, in general, the Leafs got to make some big changes, and I think Freddie is like the prime target for that. Him or like Nylander, but Nylander's always in like trade rumors and stuff like that.
I don't think Nylander. I think something you got to get off the books right now is Tavares. If you're going to
That
get anyone
no,
off the books,
I'm definitely.
that's a disaster.
I think
But
Tavares is
that's a fight for another day. I think Freddie. You're right. If they don't win the Stanley Cup, I don't think they should. Well, I know Jack Campbell's good, and they just traded for another goalie.
Yeah.
But even if he's not having that great of a season, that just lowers his price point.
That's
and
true.
I know they don't have a lot of money, but if they pull this out and win it, I don't think you should let him just leave. Like, at least give him an offer. But you got to think he's going to get a lot of offers anyways.
Yeah. I mean, like I said before, like if they don't like win if they make it far, I can see them re-signing him. But I think oh my God, this fellow, a first round exit is definitely not doable.
That's not ideal.
Not ideal. And like you said with Tavares thing, I definitely think that is the worst contract, and I would prefer if they moved on from him compared to Nylander. It just feels like Nylander is always the one that's in like the discussion to be on the.
No, you're right.
But,
you're right. Unfairly too, because
mm-hmm.
Nylander's he's been great. I don't know.
It just comes down to, I think a lot of people just have a bad taste about him because of his whole contract thing that happened, and they have all these expectations for him. And he has been having a great year.
He's having a great year.
So.
All right, next question. Do you guys think Mike Babcock will ever coach in the NHL again? So, he's now the coach of the University of Saskatchewan hockey team. So what do you guys think? Do you think he'll ever coach in the NHL again?
No. Have you heard the stories about this guy? He's a loser, man. Like, he's never going to come back. He was a bad coach. He got lucky because he had a great team in Detroit. We paid him all this money in Toronto. And for what? Literally nothing. He played what? Matthews, he was like the fourth highest minutes in the playoffs for Matthews. The best player by far. I think the best player in the league right now. I don't know. The stuff he's done, like making Marner say who the least hard-working guy on the team is or something, or a guy you really wouldn't want to play with, and then showed the guy that he said. Yeah. Remember that story?
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? You're not playing in the league again. Players hate him. There's players on Twitter who hate him publicly. I don't know. All luck to him in Saskatchewan, University of Saskatchewan, but I feel for those players.
I could see it being possible. Like, I agree with you. The stuff he's done, all these controversies, even I don't know if you heard about the stuff with Johan Franzen. Like, this guy bullied him, straight up. Like, I don't think he just should be given another shot, but I think people are going to look at his track record and they're going to look at his resume and all his achievements and whatnot and say, you know what, I think we need someone like that on our team. Like you said, a lot of his stuff you can maybe make the argument that he's been a part of a great team with Detroit, even coaching the Olympic teams, right? And then with the Leafs, he had a really good team. So it'd be interesting to see if maybe he got another gig with a team that's not as great.
Like your Sabres.
Like my Sabres, yeah. I hope that doesn't happen though, but we'll see. I don't know. I think anything's possible. I think a coach like that, every team's going to look at, but I'm not.
I don't know, man. There's a lot of good coaches out there.
There are.
You got to look at the AHL coaches. There's great AHL coaches. There's great assistant coaches already in the league, even OHL coaches. I just don't see it happening. He's such an old school mentality type of guy, right?
Yeah.
He thinks you got to push people to their absolute limit to get the most out of them. But that's really not true. These guys have done, you're pushing 30-year-old men, you're bullying them. What are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
Honestly.
Yeah. I would hope teams recognize his flaws and that he's, times have moved on from the way he's coached, but I can't completely rule it out. I can definitely see a team considering him in the future, but I don't know. We'll see what happens in the future, if there's any opportunities.
Yep.
Okay, so now it's time for Canadian Athlete of the Week. So our pick for this week is Jamal Murray. So we talked about this in the last segments of your tweets, Lucas, who we think has potential to be the next Canadian to make an All-Star game appearance. He's from Kitchener, Ontario. He plays for the Denver Nuggets. And, lately he's averaged 30 points, 4.9 assists, 4.3 rebounds, and 1.2 steals over the last 9 games. So, he's scoring 25 plus points in 5 contests.
Yeah, so Jamal Murray's he's kind of been on the verge of stardom ever since the bubble last year, right? When he was going off.
Mm-hmm.
I think this just solidifies the fact that he is one of, if not the best Canadian in the league right now, or obviously Canadian basketball player in the world right now. That 50-point game without shooting a free throw is the first time anyone's ever done that in NBA history.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous if you think about it. Like, you see Harden put up, 60 points, and people like sing his praises, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like 30 of them were from the line. It's ridiculous. But Jamal, he's different, man. And to think he's from Kitchener, where no one really plays basketball in Kitchener. I've been to Kitchener a lot because my brother played for the Kitchener Rangers. I've been there all the time. It's not a basketball city. Like, they have their team there, but it's not really like a hot spot like the way Toronto is now.
Yeah.
It's inspiring. It's great. It's great for the country. Wish he was a Raptor, but maybe one day.
Yeah. I remember when he got drafted, and I didn't know too much about him, and I didn't know how good he would be. But he's definitely blown away expectations. He's definitely a superstar in the league, and he's just getting better every year. He's so exciting and explosive to watch. Having someone like Nikola Jokic that we mentioned before, who's like a front runner for the MVP, it's definitely helped his game a lot. I think it helps with his confidence and whatnot, knowing he has someone like that on his team that can alleviate some pressure from him. But he's just so much fun to watch, and it's great to see him getting a lot more recognition now. The bubble was definitely a big jump into that next echelon of NBA stardom. But yeah, it's great to see him constantly improving and getting this recognition. And
Yeah, and he makes that team so dangerous too with Jokic. Like, they're a legit team. I don't think they could win it all, really, but I think given the circumstance, they could probably knock off the Lakers if they had a good series.
Yeah.
Like, they're really good, and he's just such a well-rounded player. Like, he plays the game right. He does everything well. Like, he's not the greatest shooter. He's not Steph Curry shooting. He doesn't dunk like, I don't know, like LeBron.
No.
He can do it all, and he can do it all really well. And he represents the country proudly. He plays for Team Canada all the time. He loves the country. And I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, he went to Orangeville Prep, which is also in Canada. He's great for the country, and he's great for the league.
Yeah, and they pushed the Lakers to a great series last year. I think a lot of people were rooting for them. They're definitely a good team that I feel like a lot of people back because they're so fun to watch. And he's just one of those players a lot of people get behind because of how entertaining he is. I think it's possible they can take out the Lakers. They've shown that they're capable of pushing them. So, yeah, it'd be cool to see.
Okay, now it's time for our polls. Every week, we're going to be posting a set of questions on our social media. So if you guys want to place your own votes, you can visit our Instagram at EmergeTO. And so the set of questions we're going to be asking for this week are, should the Leafs re-sign goaltender Freddie Anderson this offseason or move on from him? So we're going to be posting that. And will Mike Babcock ever coach in the NHL again? Yes or no? Place your votes as soon as you can, and we'll tell you the results next week. All right, that's it for this week's episode on Table Talks. Join us next week. You can watch us on YouTube, listen to us on SoundCloud, and next week we'll have Dom. He's not here today. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So hope to see you guys there next week. You guys want to say bye?
Bye.
I don't think we say bye. Do we say bye?
No.
It's fine. Bye. Bye, guys.